Okay, we are going to be live in less than a minute. We are live. Okay, shall we start?
Yes, very much.
Warm greetings. Welcome to another session on women in architecture. The discussion on women in architecture is about understanding the nuances of being women in the profession, and it is placed in the larger purview of being in the diverse field of the built environment for those women who started their career with architecture education. This session is conducted with the support of Eco Development and Research Cell, a not-for-profit initiative of the Environmental Design Consultants, EDC, Ahmedabad. This is Mansi Bal Bhargav from the House of EDC and also the host of the session and the researcher of this project. We are glad to take up this study called Women in Architecture, with looking at women engaging in practice and pedagogy of the built environment. The aim is to celebrate their presence and participation in shaping it. The objectives are to learn, document, and disseminate the biographical journey of women who chose to practice, research, educate, do arts, activism, and a mix of them in a very multi-transdisciplinary way. They have charted their path. Through the study, we wish to acknowledge and appreciate the contribution they have made in the profession, bring forth the critical issues that need to be addressed at individual, institutional, and collective levels, as what makes or breaks or tweaks the career of women architects in the country. It allows us to implicitly understand how women maneuver their lives to find their purpose of being in the profession, and explicitly the study wishes to build role models for the current and future generation and normalize the very fact that women are doing exemplary work in architecture. Because we all grew up with a very unintended presumption, which is also the presumption of this research, that the profession is heavily influenced by patriarchals. And it is not surprising when we see manuals talking about how to make sustainable cities, how to make inclusive cities, whereas the profession itself is struggling to be inclusive of the women architects. The study, therefore, is a call for action to realize that the need for equitable architectural profession is a stepping stone towards having an equitable or inclusive architecture, and sustainable for that matter. The methodology applied in this study is called autoethnography, which in simple words means life journey of our respondent or the speaker today and researcher's pen, which is our research. The method includes a semi-structured questions followed by a series of video conversations, which are open access YouTube, available on my channel, and transcribing eventually to make a small book to be shared with all architecture schools and practices. Today we have with us Chitra Nair to do the discussion, and I'm really looking forward to know about her journey. We have crossed 75 sessions, and it has been extremely enriching to hear all these girls, these women out there. Thank you so much, Chitra, for taking out time and agreeing to do this conversation. I can at least promise you that you are going to enjoy this reflection time.
Thank you so much, Mansi.
Yeah. I hope you are ready for this conversation, but just to give a little bit more overview that here we are trying to do a master class on women in the built environment. Importantly, to know the worries and the wisdom by the woman, for the woman, of the woman. So before I invite a protocol, we just do a brief biography of our speaker today. Chitra Nair is a principal architect and partner at JCJR Partnership. She was the chairperson of Indian Institute of Interior Designers Kerala chapter, honorary secretary of the Indian Institute of Architects Kerala chapter, honorary secretary IIA Trivandrum Center. She is recipient of Commendation Award for the Best Interiors by IIA Kerala Excellence in Architecture. Their projects have been featured in various regional and national architecture and design journals and magazines. She's also involved in women-led NGO working for underprivileged women and children. She loves traveling and writing, and I'm actually cutting short her long biography, which is obviously with so many decades of practice. But because here we are going to do some interaction and learn about Chitra, the girl, the woman we want to know beyond her profession. So, all set?
Sure. Most welcome.
Okay, so I wish to take you to your high school days and understand from you your acquaintances, the environment, family, friends, as what brought you to architecture. How was it?
Okay, so let me start by actually, like you said, going back. I'm the daughter of a army officer.
Mm-hmm.
So though my home state is Kerala, I was born and brought up across the country. My father was a veterinary doctor, and he was posted in many northern parts of the country. And I was born in Meerut, though I have very little memories because I was there only probably for a very, very short while. But I was there. My memories are of Allahabad and, Bareilly and Banbasa in UP, and then Assam, Guwahati, and many other parts. Like I was in the state of Jammu and Kashmir for about 6 years. And so I was in Srinagar for 3 years. 3 years I was in Udhampur, which is on the way between Jammu and Srinagar. It was the Northern Command. My father was posted there. So I was my high school actually, most of my schooling, let's put it that way, most of my schooling were in convents in different parts of the country. And it was in 8th, 9th, and 10th were the 3 years which were in Kendra Vidyalaya in Udhampur. And it after my 10th, I chose it. Actually, it was my choice. My father was not very inclined, but I wanted to come back to Kerala and do my 11th and 12th year. And for the reason was that the school in Udhampur is since being a very army town, there's not much of civilian population. And the teaching in the Kendra Vidyalaya, the kind of teachers who were there were, they were very good teachers, but also I would say that my 11th and 12th, I felt couldn't have been good there. So I chose to stay with my grandma in Trivandrum. And I thought that, the kind of Kerala has always, as far as I remember, has been a state where, the entrance exams and examinations and studies have been, like everything surrounds that. And I, being an army kid, was very far away from that. I was not very serious about studies and things like that, though I was a good student. And I came here, and then I actually, at that time in Kerala, in Trivandrum, there was this thing called pre-degree. It was not school, it was college. So I got into college at that time, pre-degree college. And I lost my father within 3 months of that. So that was a very critical part of my life. Very critical in the sense that till then I was a kid, and I suddenly, kind of grew up, because you realize how life changes after the main person in your life is no more there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I did my pre-degree, that is my 11th and my 10th, more focused actually, because I just realized that I had to stand on my feet as soon as possible. And for me, at that time, it was a critical time. Though I didn't go for any what do you call it, entrance coaching or anything. I used to religiously, very what should I say, on a very daily habit of studying after uh, college hours. Late night, I used to sit and study. And somehow I got through the entrance, and then I got into architecture. At that time, please interrupt whenever you feel you want to ask something. And at that time, actually, architecture was not so much well known as a profession. Even I had heard about it, but I didn't really know much about it. I just was in love with mathematics. For me, in my 10th, I had a fantastic teacher, a person called Chanmugam sir. He was actually a Tamil sir who was living in a place like Udhampur, which is in Jammu and Kashmir, and he was a very dedicated teacher. He was a kind of person, like, he insisted that the weakest student of his must love the subject. He loved mathematics so much. And for me, like, as long as I can study mathematics, I don't mind studying anything. I was so much in love with the subject. So entrance was not very difficult, and I had to choose, which branch I wanted to go into. And I honestly was not very sure. It was my brother who actually suggested that, since I used to, I like drawing, and I used to do a lot of drawing and coloring and all by myself and sketching. So he said, maybe that will be good for you. So then I thought I'll take a shot at it, not really knowing much about it, but I like the idea, because it is something that it has mathematics, definitely, because it's part of engineering, and also because it was something, that the drawing part of it, which was something that I kind of liked. So I finally got into the College of Engineering, Trivandrum, which itself was one of the oldest colleges. At that time in Kerala, there were only two institutions that were having architecture in the whole of the state, actually. One was the CET, Department of Architecture, and then there was one in a place called Kollam. That had just started a year ago. So I did fairly well for my entrance exams, so I could get through. And that's how I started the study of architecture.
Interesting. And actually, I asked this question with a purpose, and you really feel that purpose in the way that most of us really got into it because architecture was not so well known, and either you had drawings or mathematics.
Yeah.
And interestingly, now parents are making a conscious decision to bring children to architecture, which was not the case when we were there. Anyway, I come to the next question with a little bit of knowing your background, that, and please correct me if my perception about army is wrong. Like architecture, at least whatever little I know, army itself is a highly patriarchal space. We are now seeing after long time that women are there, because I wanted to join army. I had no choice. And we have still not had any of the head of defense as women. And it's a highly patriarchal setup. This is my perception, and I am assuming most of people's perception. We glorify it. And also, you had a deep influence of your father, and then you talked about teacher. Did you really feel that the men were dominant in the architecture school where you joined? Or did you ever feel that you are a woman or a girl? Because that is something beautiful about the army life, that parents do not make that discrimination. That is also I am aware of with my friends. But how was it for your college life? Was it all male professors dominated? Did you really ever feel during college time or early career or internship that it is going to be different in life being a woman in the profession? Did you ever feel it in the early career, let's say 1 2 years of graduation, and during your graduation, did anyone made you feel, did you feel by yourself, anything like that you may like to share?
Sure. I actually, it's a very interesting subject which I always like to talk about, especially with my colleagues in the office and the young girls who come. But let me
Hmm.
start by saying, commenting on the fact that the army is very patriarchal. At least I can tell you one thing is that since I was very young, I probably didn't have to face any of that thing.
Yes.
But I think it is very misunderstood because I
Hmm.
think women in the army have always been very highly respected,
Hmm.
and that is how I have felt. I can tell you from my
Hmm. Of
experience,
course. Yeah.
yeah, is that uh, the officers in the army, um, because they have their wives carrying along uh, everything with them wherever they go after 2 years 3 years, this movement, they take care of the home, the children, and of course the officers themselves. So it's not an easy life. So I
Hmm.
feel that there is a certain respect that is there for women, by the officers themselves, and even in the hierarchy, whichever I have seen is, you may not have seen that kind of respect in any other civilian structure where any lady comes into a room, all the men get up,
Hmm.
they all stand up, and whether it is namaskar or good evening or morning, whatever, they are always wished. So this is the kind of feeling that I have always had about women having a very respectable kind of position in the army. And I don't know about the other side of it. That is because at that time there were not many women other
Hmm.
than probably the doctors, the lady doctors, and the
Hmm.
nurses in the hospitals. Because my father was a veterinarian, we had a lot of doctor, the friends who were in the medical profession. So even there, I have always felt that women have a great amount of respect. So I'm not sure about that. I
Hmm.
honestly don't agree with that kind of a viewpoint. I think it is misunderstood.
Okay.
There may be occasions, definitely, just like any cross section in society,
Yes.
definitely there would be a certain thing, even in the army. But I feel that basically, from my experience, I have felt that more than in any civilian life, women have always had a very respectable position.
Hmm. So
And
how was it in the college?
yes, remember, I want to remind you that I studied in Kerala, where basically, women have a certain standing, so to speak, in
Hmm.
the sense that women are very strong. Basically,
Hmm.
in the public sphere, you will see more
Hmm.
women working and going around than you would see, in any other part of India.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
So
I'm realizing that also the culture and the region matters in the way how women are growing up in the profession.
yes, and our professors mostly were women. Actually,
Hmm.
no, I mean, we had the head of the department at that time was Oman sir, he's no more now. But the next person was Ashalata Tamburan, and
Hmm.
you may even know her. She is a very vibrant and what should I say? very strong lady. And we have, like, in college, she was not only her, actually, one of her classmates also was a professor, Mariama teacher, and she also was a very strong woman, very academically oriented, and we were very fortunate to have her in our first year in college. And she was very strict, but what should I say, very to the point. In the point, we I feel I was very lucky to have her. That is what I'd like to say, because no hanky panky, no unnecessary talk, very focused on teaching architecture, uh, strict in the sense that you can't come into the class with a pencil that is not properly sharpened. You have to have all your things neat and tidy, and that kind of, I feel, teachers who were who gave us a very good base, about the
Yes.
practice. I have truly a lot of respect and love for my teachers. They were not practicing architects, at that time. There was hardly any sphere for practice during the time when they were teaching. There were very, very few women architects practicing, and so most of them actually used to start into the academic field itself. There were many in the government sector also at that time. But basically, because Kerala had only one college until then, there were not many students who had actually passed out. And I think many of them would have probably gone into, getting married and have their own lives. But there were quite a few who around us whom we could actually see, either in the as a teacher or even in the government sector. We knew most of the women. That was another thing. Yeah, and when I, like, at the time that we were just passing out, or we had started, after the third year, the lot of women had started practicing in Kerala. You might know Jebin Zacharias, who was the national president
Yes.
of the IIID. She also taught us for a year, and she had a very good practice in Cochin. And there were many other women who even were in the state and went abroad, were practicing even in the US and in the Gulf at that time. So, I mean, as far as I can tell you, I've never felt a gender bias or any kind of issue in terms of a structural difference, in terms of men or women. At least that is my feeling.
No,
Maybe
of course, we are
what you
trying
think
to
was
hear
a
you
good
only.
answer.
Yeah. So often, actually, the data tells that yes, there are more lady teachers in architecture. Whether then and now, it is still holds true. But because this research is about women, I am actually obliged to ask questions around that. And of course, I'm very open to hear your experience. I am no one to influence your experience, because we need diverse, thinking and diverse experiences. That's the whole idea of the research. What is interesting is when I started doing my homework to start this research 5 years ago, that time also there were more women teachers or equal number of women teachers in architecture schools across the country. There were almost equal number of students graduating from the architecture schools, girls and boys. But what was surprising was there was not even 10% women who were the HODs, principals, and directors. So as a researcher, I pick those things that there is a gender bias. Because see, the leadership is a pyramidal position and it is a gender neutral or genderless position. If there are more women teachers, I would naturally feel, logically feel that the leadership at some point in time will be also women. That's a general perception and general math. But when I was starting this research, there was not even 10%. That's one part. The second part, I was already then a public speaker, going places across the country. And I had a workshop on engendering architecture, which is about having more women and inclusivity and blah, blah. I would ask students and teachers to name 5 well-known women architects, 10 well-known women architects. I never found answers from students and teachers in that hall wherever I went across the country, which also gives me a signal that even if there are many in numbers, probably there are not many well-known people. And you may agree with me or disagree. I would like to hear your point. When we studied architecture, all the master architects we learned about were male. Whether Indian or abroad, they were written about male architects. Very few books are written on well-known women architects. Like you also mentioned about your teacher, I had never heard about them. It is my unfortunate, situation that I never heard about them. But likewise, there are many wonderful teachers, wonderful practitioners. But you also made one interesting point here that not many people were practicing women architects in that time. I also found out from the research that the way we define architects already deduces the many women who are in education. So the teachers who are architects by profession and teaching, they get almost unsaid disqualified as an architect. So wherever I went and did my workshops, I had to really scream in those lecture halls that can you not just name your teachers? Because they are by default architects, that is why they are your teachers. So even students and teachers themselves could not think through. So this research is also about delimiting the very definition of who is an architect. Is a teacher who is an architect in teaching not an architect? If in that sense, there are many well-known academicians and researchers, So I'm keen to hear from you how women in architecture missed being known in the profession. Why we still look up to well-known men as architects, their works. Where do women fail to make mark in the society, in the profession, in the classrooms? Why we are still unable to name? Now I can name 400, 500 of them, because to arrive to 75 sessions, honestly speaking, I have fished for more than 400 women architects, which gives me a great pleasure thinking that at least I know more than 400 women architects who are doing exemplary work. It's a different issue that they declined to do this interview either because of paucity of time or other reason. They did not find this work to be important and many more things. But the good thing is that there are more than 400 good practicing, teaching, researching, activist architects. That's the good part. But why do you think that our profession, our society is unaware of them, as in famous? A person who is doing research is aware of them, but not society at large. But if you talk about many well-known male architects, I can still give you in 1 minute more than 10 male names, not women.
Very true.
What do you think? What is the reason behind this problem?
Actually speaking, your points are very valid. And if I were to go by my experience and my thought processes in this
Yes.
subject, I can say one thing is that social structure is very important here. And like, for example, when I talk about Asha teacher or Mariama teacher, they came into teaching basically because at that time it was easier to be an academician than to actually practice. It is definitely not because they would not have wanted to practice, but at that time it was easier. And also because the opportunities were much less. See, if you take Kerala, for instance, it is not easy at that time to just start a practice on your own, to just open somewhere and then you start practice. it wasn't easy. If you ask me why it wasn't easy, the only thing is that I personally, when I look back, I think it is more of the mindset of women, the lack of confidence that actually stopped them. See, I can tell you when I started my practice. Now, just to to kind of
Yes,
go
of
back to
course.
that.
Yes, please.
When I started my practice, not on my own. I mean, that is when I came out of college. When I started working, I started very close to my house itself. There was a architect, was very senior. He was working in the Gulf, and he had come down to Kerala to actually join the PWD. But for some reason, that joining got a little delayed, and he then started a practice with one of his classmates. Okay, now the classmate actually was a professor in our college itself, so he couldn't actually, kind of do the practice, in his own name, and so the name was my boss's name, and I joined there because it was very convenient for me to just walk and go to the office. So I used to go and help because my senior was working there, and whenever she said she needs a pair of hands extra, I used to go and work even during college time. So it was very natural for me that after I finished college, he said, Chitra, please come. And I went because it was very easy for me. I didn't have to travel. I just had to, eat my breakfast and walk.
Walk the street.
Yeah, it was hardly half a kilometer, but still I enjoyed walking. And I used to go there, and I enjoyed working there because most of them are women. My senior was a woman. Sir was the only person who was a male. Rest, the draftsman, the structural engineer, everyone were women. So we had a very nice time. We really enjoyed. We were just about 4 of us, and we had a very nice time. And when my senior, she left after marriage, I became the senior architect, and Sir joined the PWD. So I became a working partner with him, with his wife. Actually, his wife was a managing partner and I was a working partner because somebody had to sign the drawings. So he was almost like a father figure to me, and he, we had a lot of difference of opinions on many things because architecture is like that. But invariably we used to, because how of the care he had for me, and his opinion, that my opinion mattered rather, and so we used to come to a amicable solution to many design problems. But the thing is that what I want to say here is, for me it was easy, that continuity was very simple. It doesn't happen all the time, and I know for a fact, if I take my seniors or my colleagues in my classmates, it wasn't that easy. Many got married, and then when they have to go with their husbands, uh, they are not in the profession, they are in some other place, and sometimes there are no practices in that place where they can join, because invariably you have to learn. Architecture is partly learned in the college, but more learned on the site, or in an office and practicing place. That's where you really learn it. So I feel that women in that time were did not have the kind of opportunities that they have today. In the same, there were very few firms, but most of the firms that I know, the contemporaries at that time, had a lot of women. And if you come to the point of asking why they are not known, one is that they probably themselves didn't want to be known. Like when I joined there, I had no inclination to be known. I just enjoyed my work, and that is it. Aram say, go in the morning, do your work, enjoy the work, and then go home. That it was very comfortable. Kya karna hai? Why do you want to, be a larger than life figure? Why do you want to be in a magazine? Why do you want to be interviewed? or those
But
kind
now
of.
you are in magazines and interviews.
So what?
That's the good part. You
Yeah,
don't have to aspire. I so much agree with you. But
yeah,
as a researcher, I'm looking at the aggregate,
yes,
and
no,
very rightfully so. As you said, that we have to just keep doing our work. It's not that we want to become famous, but I have to do objectively my research.
no, my point is that
Yes,
probably that is one of the reasons why they are
yes,
not known.
yes.
See, they might have been the support system of many men.
Absolutely. And you nailed the next point, actually. Still, what
Exactly.
you
See,
mentioned today in most of the offices, the workforce is women, led by men.
exactly.
And of
So,
course, in
like I
women's
said,
office, also it is women, most of them.
the when Sir joined PWD, he didn't disappear from the office. He was there, and but he had so much of confidence in me that he would give me the project. I would discuss with the clients. I would go to the site. I would do so. That kind of exposure and that confidence that he gave me was very valuable. So,
Absolutely.
yeah. So the thing is that what I am today is definitely because of the mentors that I had during my
Yes.
right from college onwards itself. I have had the good fortune. Now, that is the point which I have to say is that I know for a fact that it has not been like that for many women.
Absolutely. We are actually the privileged lot. And unfortunately, this research is biased that I am actually seeking responses from the privileged lot. So that's a problem.
But I can give you that other side which I could
Yes.
see. Yeah, because not just people who studied with me, but many other young women. I've always felt, that you must need to uh, uh, what should I say? Need to want that uh, that what do you call it? You should aspire.
Higher?
uh, I can't find the right words, but the thing is that I wanted to be working. I wanted to stand on my feet. Like you said, the other part is not something that I aspired for, but for me it was
Of
very
course.
important that I did good work. And
Yes.
that is something which I felt many women really lacked at that time.
Yeah.
That
Absolutely.
self motivation, as you call it.
Yes.
That self
And
motivation is something which I felt many women really lacked at that time. I'm not
mm,
sure about the Gen Zs, but
mm,
during my early years in my career, I have felt that they were very comfortable with being at home, and taking care of kids, or just going to a firm, working, getting back. Uh, and not being very ambitious about their career. I wasn't very ambitious, honestly. Even now, I don't think I'm ambitious at all. But life has kind of given me opportunities in which I could do things. I could actually work in different kinds of projects with different kind of people, and different opportunities has given me different perspectives and
yes.
experiences, which I today like to engage with younger people, and see how different it is to understand them, to be able to give my wisdom, what I have learned through my life, and I just like to share it. It's just about, I feel, coming to a point in our lives where you've gained so much, and now it's time to give back.
Absolutely. And that brings me to an interesting question you may choose to answer or not answer
Yeah.
is what do you think about women? Again, back to the whole question which I have always asked. Is architect only one who is practicing and making buildings or doing
Oh yes. Oh
construction?
yes.
Yes.
Yes. I
But what do you think about, yeah, what do you think about having a spouse from the same profession
Hmm.
or from a different profession? Do you think it helps women in architecture to
Um,
spur?
uh,
What is your
Frankly,
take on it?
I think it's a very personal experience here, because
Yes.
architecture itself is, being a creative field, it can be different for different people. It can mean different things for different people.
Yes.
And like you said, for a teacher, I feel it's a very, very important part of the practice of architecture, teaching. Whether it is inside your office or whether it is in a college or in any other place, like a researcher like you, teaching architecture is something I feel it is not given importance enough. I cannot stress that enough either, because I can see that many colleges do not have enough teachers, and those who have teachers are probably probably not very well equipped to teach. See, teaching itself is an art.
Yes.
Anybody who has just practiced architecture cannot be a good teacher. Teaching has to have a certain way of communication to be able to understand the students different. Because see, architecture, the way I've understood it is, it's a very individualistic profession, because you are, see, in a class of say 40 people, uh, each 40 of them with the same problem give 40 different solutions.
Yes.
So it's very, it depends on the individual. A design is a person's individual perspective of a problem. And that is why I feel teaching has to be something that has to be done very, very seriously. You cannot just take it as another job. It has to be taught in the right way. Architecture has to be taught in the right way, and that is not easily said. So I actually have a lot of respect for the teachers who take the extra effort to practice and teach, because practice hones your skills in different ways. And academically, if teachers are only practicing, who are not practicing, I feel that have a small drawback there, because they may be able to be good teachers in terms of the theoretical part of things, because architecture is, both have to be going hand in hand. So the theory part of what we learn in college may be well taught by who are purely academicians. But I also feel it depends on the institute or the college, the university framing these things, that there has to be a healthy combination of both.
Yes.
To bring out really knowledgeable or talented and architects. Otherwise, what happens is, I have seen this happening so many times across around me, that architects are not doing very well, and the engineers or probably people who are not architects but are actually trying to practice something called architecture, I feel they get they get along better in their practice, because they kind of have understood the practice as a business.
Yes.
And they learn how to manage that business very well, where architects fail to do that, basically because they don't see architecture as a business. And then that leads to other issues in architecture, because you grow up with this feeling that it's an elevated kind of a practice. You see yourself as an architect. When you call your when a student finally calls herself or himself as an architect, they feel that the load of, or the it's like a crown on your head.
I
Being
will
an
ask
architect.
that question also actually to you.
Yeah. So what happens is that then when they start working in a place, they find themselves very ill-equipped, because the skill that is being given in many colleges are just not sufficient for practice. And wherever they go, they sometimes they have to take the brunt of
Their struggle.
that yeah, the fact that they are ill equipped, and that might actually lead them to have a lack of confidence in themselves.
Yes. Let me ask this question again to you. Would
Hmm.
you think about having spouse from the same profession or not from the same profession? Do you think for women architects, it matters?
Well, I have a spouse from the same
Hmm.
same field, so I can say that again. It has helped me, and it has not as well. Now, I'm saying this very frankly, basically because um, I hope this conversation helps many people. Um, when I
That's the
was
idea. That is the idea.
exactly, so I actually have no issue with that. And when I said, that my mentors, they were men, and they have really contributed to the fact that I am what I am in the practice. And I got married to Jay Krishnan, my husband, and he was my classmate as well, 30 years ago. So we've been working for 25 years together, actually. Basically, I was in the other firm with, my initial career was with Satish and Associates. I worked there for 8 years, and I joined him in the practice after my second son was born.
Hmm.
So that is because by then he had, you know, started working reasonably well, and there were more projects, and he needed me to join him. So now the point is that till then I was almost the boss of what I did, So though the sir was there, most of the time he had given me the freedom to design. So that is the freedom is something so important, that
Yes.
you're not what should I say, feeling that in any way, there is a issue with your way of designing or things like that. And of course, that I always felt that discussions and working together is something that's very, it makes life very easy in terms of than rather doing on your own. Basically, because I feel debates and discussions in architecture is um, helpful, because you get different perspectives, and
Yes.
that's that really helps a project. So sir was there, but since I had started taking the role more independently, it was something that I saw for myself as you know in fact, I at that time I got featured in one of the Kerala Malayalam magazines
Yes.
as being one of the few architects, women, in Kerala. And those things were important because when other women, junior to you, see women on the pages of magazines and all,
Yes.
and it's inspiring for
And that's
other
the whole
women.
idea. We are doing this series also.
Yeah, so they definitely would want to be featured like that in a magazine and a project, with a project or whatever. So the thing is that what happened after I got married is, my husband, basically, I know him since we studied together, know him very well, and he's a very good architect. And so for me, we had to balance our work. So what
Hmm.
happened is, since by then I had two boys growing up, and a home and office, and I was also I started getting into the Institute of Architects, and so there were other things also. So he was the main person running
Yes.
the practice, and I was more like the support person. Like,
Hmm.
I was a person who was taking the, after the initial design that we discussed, the back end of it, the working
Hmm.
drawings, going to site, the sourcing, the management. So I was doing a lot of that, but not in the forefront of design as such.
Hmm.
And I didn't realize so much that I was missing it, because I had too many things already going around, for me.
Yes.
And I felt, that let him do that.
Hmm.
Let our practice have one boss. So he's the design architect. I'm the detailing architect. So fine. So it works. It went quite fine. And I have no complaints, no regrets in that way. But probably after about 20 years of practice, uh, you suddenly realize that uh, you really don't have something to showcase for your own self,
Yes.
That is,
I can so much relate with what you are saying.
yeah, like, what happens is that people start identifying everything as his
Hmm.
and not mine, though, of course,
Hmm.
it's always like a oh, no, of course, it's yours also. That kind of thing.
So, this project also started with that background. Even after 20 years, I realized I did not have a single check for 20 years in my name.
See, that is something which I felt that I probably missed in terms of maybe because of my lack of ambition. I don't blame him for it
Or
because
not
I'm sure
realize because it is naturally happening with the
exactly,
family and all.
time just flies by, and by the time you actually
With
realize,
raising kids.
so many things have happened, so that way I feel that many of my colleagues or my contemporaries have done better. They
Very
have,
interesting.
yeah,
Let me ask a question here. So,
yes,
you're saying you realized it after many years, and I also have the same situation. And then this research is happening out of that realization, to be honest, that when you look at most of the prominent male architects in the world and in the country, you find that their backhand support or background support is their spouse or some woman.
right,
This is also
very
something
much.
which comes out very clearly, and one of the key reasons why women are not known. So I want to just ask a separate question than this part. But when we realize this or not realize this, we are still in that natural flow of doing best to our personal life, which has family, kids, and everything, because women, unfortunately, in our patriarchal system, has a natural responsibility, and women also takes that natural responsibility as their responsibility. And somewhere back of the mind, they have this little aspiration that they want to continue their practice and do their profession, stand on your own feet, which you also had, many of us had. And somewhere, I think by age 30, 35, 40, we start realizing, oh, but I have my personal life also, where I have my passion, my hobby, and this and that. So we are carrying these three forces together: personal, professional, passion, everything together. And I call it as a woman really carrying this superwoman syndrome, because we want to have a bit of everything and the best of everything. Did you ever went through this kind of situation that you would like to have best of all, give the best to your family, find time for your passion, and also do best to your profession unintentionally? Do you go through
Very,
that process, and
actually,
how did you sail through it?
yeah, very frankly, unintentionally. I can only say it in hindsight, because at
Yes.
that moment, getting up at 5:30 or 6 o'clock, making breakfast, lunch, and packing the bags for the boys and sending them off, and then getting ready, going to the office. It it didn't ever occur to me what I'm doing, in terms of
It
uh,
was autopilot mode.
yeah. So it was like, you do it.
Yes.
This is
Most of
life.
the women end up
You,
doing
you
it.
are you are living your life. This is life. You live it, and you do your best. And honestly speaking, I don't think I ever did not enjoy it, because frankly speaking, I love being a mom. It was one of my, what should I say? When I was a child, my mother used to tell me that the first thing that I ever said is, I want to be a mummy like my mummy. But that is
And
easily
it's a
said at
personal
that
choice
age.
of everyone. Yes.
Yeah, the thing is that I've always loved kids, and I've always, when I got married, I was actually 29. So I had, what you say that I've enjoyed my early career. I've been very focused on my early career. So I've had that. And at that time, when I got married, I really wanted to have a family. So I felt it was high time I had. 29 is a good age to marry and have a baby. And I wanted to have them. So I'm absolutely happy with the way life has treated me. I have no regrets in that. But when you talk about the professional part of me, because like you said, we are made up of everything. We have everything
Yes.
within us. Yeah.
We
So
want to do everything. That's the thing.
yes. So when I started actually thinking about that professional part of me, I think it was more towards my menopausal time when I, kind of really started thinking about it. Not before that.
Probably kids grown up, so they need less of mommy.
Yeah, and I am not sure whether my hormones were affecting me. I don't know. I have no idea to know. But definitely that was a point which I started feeling that maybe I should have thought more of uh, my uh, my practice as my own self. In terms of, I should have probably uh, taken up more work in my own self. And I had the opportunity because we were running the firm anyway, but I actually didn't do it. I didn't do it basically because I couldn't find enough. uh, I don't know whether it is finding enough time or just convenience. I'm not sure. I
Hands were full. Hands
Yeah,
were full. So,
I probably, could have thought differently. That's how I feel when I look at some people who have done, better. Uh, not I'm not a kind of person who likes to compare. I'm just saying it in terms of in terms of a perspective, of how things can be. I feel that some women are very efficient and some women are not that efficient in terms of their way they work around their time. And it is the people who are more efficient with their time who actually can who achieve more, I feel. That is my realization, is probably I should have focused on the way I was using my time. know? And that is something which I'd like younger women to actually understand, that you have to find time for that thought for yourself, for thinking about whether it is your health or your own personal ambitions, or whatever you want to be in 10 years time, or in 20 years time. That part of you need to find time to actually sit and work on, and that time is very important. I feel that many women, they get carried away in the work that they are actually doing, and they do not specific see. I feel from my own experiences that you will not find time if you don't really actually want to,
find time.
exactly. You will end up saying, I didn't have time. And I don't really believe that. I think it is a question of prioritizing our lives, and to say that, okay, from this time to this time, I'm going to do this. Once in a week, I'm going to do this. Or once in a month, I'm going to do this. But that prioritizing is very important early on in life. And I feel that I could have done lots of things differently if I had known that, or somebody could have guided me on that, you know. And
That's why we are doing this study to tell the younger generation.
I don't know how many of them would be interested to listen.
That's a different story. See, we have to do our karma. I don't think that we can control its impact and how people will listen and interpret and how people make use of this knowledge.
Actually, this point of karma reminds me of something that I'd like to share.
Share, please do.
Yeah, in my final year,
Hmm.
actually my thesis, I was going through a very bad time in my life, in the sense that I don't know, I put a lot of pressure on myself. I was not able to probably, you know, kind of see things clearly or whatever. I don't know, but I felt very alone and very much stressed at that time. And I, fortunately, for some reason, there was a Bhagavad Gita in my mother's puja room. And one day I just felt that I should start reading it. And I really can tell you that it literally changed my life. Because one thing which brought out, you know, a learning for me is that, see, the Bhagavad Gita starts with Arjuna's grief. Because I read it in English. It is a translation and teaching by Swami Chinmayananda. When I was a kid, I've heard his discourses. It never, I mean, I was too young to understand what was happening. But at that time, when I was actually going through a very difficult period in my life, I felt like Krishna was a guru and I was Arjuna, and he was telling me that you need to take your life in a certain way to understand what life is. And something within me really changed. It shifted. It actually really shifted. And till today, I am in debt to Swami Chinmayananda for translating, see what today nobody understands mantras and Sanskrit and these things. There is the deeper meaning of all these things is what you need to know. And that is something which I felt he did it so beautifully, because he spoke in a language that is, what should I say, in a, not in a, what, you know, normally when you go to such like places, you normally hear people giving you advice, you know, "Ki aisa karo, this, do that, like that." It's not like that. It's like a conversation, and in a very contemporary form of conversation. Nobody is being, what you call it, you know, patronizing you. It is like you deduct, you find out what is your solution, and you have your problem in front of you, you have every solution within you. Please find that solution, take a little time off and see it, and you will understand that you are a beautiful creation of God, and you are a perfect creation of God just the way you are. And that realization is what is going to change your life. Now, that reading actually changed my life, in the sense that I learned to take things a little bit more easier in the sense that not get, you know, too hecked up about things when things are not going your way, or when problems come up. It's like, okay, this will work out, you can work out this out, you can work it out, we'll find a solution. Sometimes you just need to take a little time, you know, and chill a little bit, and you'll find solutions. So those kind of things is what I felt has helped me a lot through life, because life is not easy, you know. Everything in life, one day you feel is fine, the next day probably will be bringing you with a big problem. It could be professional, it could be personal, it could be so many other things, you know. And you have to have enough courage and love of your own self to be able to deal with it. You have to love yourself. You have to really feel that, okay, Chitra, you are perfect as God has created you. It doesn't matter whether your nose is long or your hair is gray, or, you know, you have a long neck or big ears. It doesn't matter at all.
Yes,
It is the
absolutely.
way you look at yourself. And
Mhm.
you need to really understand that you're perfect. There is no question about that. You are here for whatever purpose that you are here. You need to find your purpose by yourself and you just go ahead with it. And I certainly believe that. And that is why I feel many things, many, the confusions that I've had, like I told you, that in those
Mm.
uh, menopausal years, that early menopausal years, where I have, actually I've not been having a lot of conversations with women of my age because we were always busy with practice, and so many things,
Yes.
so many responsibilities. There's hardly time that you give yourself, but this thing
Yes.
stays with you, that you're fine just the way you are. You're fine, and you will find the solution. And you just take it easy. You just be a little calm. Don't get agitated about things. Maybe now you're
Yes.
agitated. Accept that agitation as you are, and just wait. It will.
Very interesting. You actually answered my last question, but I still have one interesting question offbeat what you were talking about. So
Hmm.
you have to change gear to respond to me. You have started your career with a male boss. You practiced with a partner, with a male partner. I want to understand from you, do you think, and then you also led your senior boss's office, do you think there is a difference in the way women or men approach projects, both in terms of design and in terms of business?
Very good question. Actually,
Mm.
I do think it is very
Mm.
different. I feel women basically are more empathetic, and
Mm.
I feel women kind of are able to see a larger picture more
Mhm.
clearly than men. Because I
Mhm.
feel men, I don't know, they may not agree with me, but I feel men are basically a little short sighted when it comes to life as such, in the
Mm.
sense that there are so many aspects to life. There's so many
Mm.
things, in one lifespan, that
Mm.
women experience more than men.
Mm.
Women actually have a better experience of life in it all its myriad forms
Mm.
than men do. Men are so singular in what they do. They are probably seeing only a few, very few aspects of life.
Mm.
And that is why I feel women actually would be better architects than men in terms
Mm.
of bringing solutions actually. But
Mm.
I feel, having said that, um, men have a certain opportunity to engage
Mm.
more than women, right
Mm.
from a very young age. They are free to go out, engage with people around them from a very,
Mm.
very young age, whether it is just taking the cycle or going walking or staying back night at a friend's house and coming back late at night, or in college, or whatever it is. That engagement that men have, gives them a confidence and a perspective that is slightly different from women.
Mm.
And that engagement that comes at a very early time in life actually makes them a little bit more stronger to,
Mm.
what should I say, to hold a business, or things like that, to
Mm.
understand, probably not be as gullible as women probably.
Mm.
That perspective is something which I feel men have better
Mm.
than women. And that is probably one of the reasons why they have, you see more practices that are run by men and not by women. Women,
Mm.
I feel, are more giving
Mm.
than men are. And
Mhm.
that is the reason. I don't think it has anything to do with the creative abilities, uh,
Mm.
or the technical abilities. I
Mm. Very
feel,
interesting. Mm.
yeah, I feel it is.
Put a very interesting point here.
I just feel that business sense and the ability to kind of negotiate. I feel men have, because of their engagement with society in a different way than
Yes,
women.
and also the other counterparts of the profession are also male dominated, be it developer, the contractor, the material supplier. That also gives them a conducive environment.
Yes,
You know,
yes. I can
I
tell you.
remember in the early career, the contractors and material suppliers would just not talk to me, just not speak to me. So I know that many women face that. But I think it is also regional matter because Kerala is a very different cultural environment, as you were
Um,
mentioning.
I would like to tell you one more thing. Though Kerala has more women working, it has in no way less chauvinistic men. I feel,
Yes.
yes, I feel men in Kerala are more chauvinistic actually than men otherwise. I'm not very sure about men otherwise because I've not been exposed to that so much. But I feel that and it's probably not even their fault. It's
Hmm.
probably the
It's a societal makeup or structure.
women bring up men like that.
Hmm.
That is what I want to point out. Women bring up men with the feeling that they are special.
Superior. Yes.
They are more special than their girls, and women are probably responsible for men feeling that they are.
Goes back to mothers who have to bring a change in the
Yeah,
society.
exactly. So that is why now things are different,
Yes.
because the next
Absolutely.
generation
We see Gen Z is very different in these things because thanks
extremely.
to mothers like you people who have trained your boys very differently.
Yeah, so that see, if you look at things, the way things have changed now, yes, it has drastically changed. And I think
Absolutely.
so the 75 women that probably have spoken to you would have, if they are as my age, then they would have,
Most
yeah,
of them, because I wanted that age group.
yeah, so they would be thinking in the similar lines. But if you
Yes.
probably talk to younger people, say in their 40s or in their 20s, I feel women would think very differently.
Yeah,
And
we had
even,
our NASA delegation as one session, by the way, the young NASA delegate, 3 people in our
hmm,
session. So that
hmm,
was a very fortunate session we had with 2 boys and a girl. And
hmm,
they spoke their heart and they spoke very differently than I know that my counterpart men will talk about, my contemporary men will talk about. The thing is, our contemporary men will speak different and act different. That is a bigger problem.
hmm.
So because the face or the words do not match the deeds. That's a
In
different
this point,
discussion.
there is one thing that I would like to say is that my experience of men having daughters
Hmm.
are different from men having sons.
Also another discussion altogether. But let me ask you the last question because we need to start wrapping up as well. As
Yes.
I had promised you, as you see, the conversation goes beyond an hour, which is very
Really?
natural for
Wow,
most
I
of
didn't
the
realize it.
conversation. Yes, and I am aware of it because these are very interesting conversations, reflections, and I mean, and a woman, all our respondents have enjoyed having this conversation, and I have loved listening to all of you. My last question to you is: imagining a hypothetical situation in history or in future.
Hmm.
Imagine, not that I wish that day to arrive because then it fails the very purpose why I am doing this research, but still it's just a hypothetical situation. Imagine all the leading architects of the country
Hmm.
are women.
Hmm.
In the college, when you ask students, they are naming just the way they name 10 male architects.
Hmm.
Imagine that situation in history or in future. What do you think? How buildings, societies, communities, and cities will look different? Will they look different? If yes, what are the some examples of the difference? If they will not look different, why do you think it will not make a difference if all leading architects are women? So Either or. You can choose one of the options and give me some hints.
I feel they would definitely look different. I
Okay.
feel it's earlier, like I said, women are basically, most women, I won't say all, I will say
Hmm.
most women are basically, very empathetic.
Hmm.
And that fact, if you look around us, you see NGOs, or any kind of conservation movements, or you will find a lot of women in them.
Yes.
That is something which shows, that it actually proves the point which I'm trying to say, is that they think more about the next generation,
Hmm.
and what effect is these buildings or the environment going to bring about.
Hmm.
And that care or that thought
Hmm.
will lead to better architecture, better
Hmm.
environments,
Hmm.
is what I feel. It would probably
Hmm.
not be so masculine.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's what I feel. I feel
Hmm.
it would be very equal. It would have the
Hmm.
masculine and the feminine, very that I feel that architecture. While I'm saying it itself, I feel that there is a masculinity in architecture and there is a femininity in architecture, and
Absolutely.
I feel that women, they bring it out very well both
Hmm.
together,
Hmm.
because every woman has a part which is masculine, especially in architects. And I feel that that femininity, we shouldn't lose that femininity, by the way. I strongly feel that we may be losing it, and I feel that if we lose that, we are really going to end up in the dumps. Our femininity is our strength.
Hmm.
I feel that women should embrace their femininity, because that is our strength, and that is something that we should actually celebrate. We
Hmm.
should not
Hmm.
talk, the talk about, having gender neutral dresses, and
Hmm.
having all those kind of things, which I can understand the reason why those things are coming. But
Hmm.
personally, I feel that women are uh, very, very essential to any society. Their thought process, their that
Hmm.
feminine part of a woman
Hmm.
is something that actually balances any society.
Absolutely. You
And
actually hit the nail and also did part of my closing lines as well, which is nice.
yes, so that is it. That I
Yeah.
hope I've answered your question.
Yes, and I hope I was not too tough for you. And that brings me
Not
to
at
a
all.
situation where if you have any questions for me, this is your time. Otherwise, I will do the vote of thanks.
Uh, I I don't really have any questions, because I feel that you're doing great work. So
Thank you.
I do once in a while get to see the kind of, the water world and the conservation efforts that you do, and it's great. I congratulate you for it, and God bless you on that. Yeah, that's all I have to say. You
Yeah,
have your karma to do, and please go ahead
absolutely.
and do it.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. Honestly speaking, I would like to live a day when I don't have to speak about gender, men or women. And it should not arise also because the profession itself calls for gender neutral, because there is architecture, there is problem, and there are professionals who are required. So I hope that we don't need to talk about it, but to arrive to that time, that situation, this research is kind of a small step towards it, to be honest, to move towards equitable profession. We heard you, and we do realize there is a difference in the way women practices or men practice. Uh, there is also a situation that many of us, including you, may not have been directly affected, and most of the women are, of course, taking their choices and chances depending on the circumstances they go through. But as an aggregate, when I look at the situation, they look different. And you rightly mentioned, as I said, you were already talking about my last closing lines. It's not about having more women or more men in the profession. It's about the feministic values or the masculinity in the profession. And honestly speaking, the more I am interacting to all of you, the enlightened soul, as I call it, I feel the deep contribution you all are making, not only in engendering the profession and the practice of architecture, but also delimiting the very definition of architecture, redefining it, diversification of it, encouraging more women to join the profession, encouraging, normalizing the profession that women have contributed and they will continue to contribute. Thank you so much, Chitra, for this enlightening
Thank you so
interaction.
much, Mansi,
May
for
you
this.
remain inspiration, and I will be grateful that if you stay connected with us, and I wish you best for all your endeavors, and I hope you will keep us posted.
Thank you.
At Women in Architecture Research, we shall continue our interaction for few more sessions. We have booked ourselves for a few more weeks to learn more about the endeavors of more women and listen to them and get to inspire ourselves and also inspire the future generation and the peer group as well. Thank you so much. Please take care. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thanks.